Hey there, it's Michael Greenwood. Good to see you. And I am creating this video to help anybody who's struggling with, just the day-to-day productivity. Just, that feeling at the end of the day where you think, yeah, I've done a good day's work. You've got the work ethic. You know that to get some stuff done, you sometimes have to push through some boredom. Sometimes if you're doing, especially if you're like building a business or you're building um, up in your career, you're looking for a pay rise or you're looking for get that promotion. Sometimes some of the work you do might be a bit boring. So. I've been working through the Stephen Covey's Seven Habits of Highly Effective People card deck. So this is something I picked up off Amazon a while ago, and there's 52 cards to challenge and inspire every week of the year. And do you know what? I found a really nice way of working as well lately, where I'm working in these 3 hour work blocks, and there'll be breaks in that time and I'll be doing different things. It's not going to be just 3 hours of solid flow-based work a lot of the time because that's a lot of stuff to cram in. I mean, sometimes it might be, but it's just thinking of the day in terms of rather than thinking, oh yeah, I've got all day to work on this, and then getting into the realms of Parkinson's law where you can make like a 1 hour task fit 8 hours if you're not careful, or a 2 hours task fit all day or whatever. If you consider the day in terms of 3 hour blocks, you've got some constraints then. So you can order your diary like 6 a.m. while 9 a.m. or whatever time you get up. And if you plan everything, if you plan not just your work, but being present with your family, loved ones, if you've got kids, stuff like that. If you're building it all into the day, to make sure that you do actually spend time with your family as well, rather than just working all the time, especially if you've got a business, because it can creep into everything the business. So just a bit about me. I'm Michael Greenwood. I'm a full-time business owner. I don't have a job. I just run my business. And what I find is because you're your own boss, that means you're ultimately accountable to yourself. It's great because you can basically make decisions. But on the other hand, it's kind of like a double-edged sword because you can actually end up, a day can go by and you might not have got everything done because you've got that freedom. So you've got to really be disciplined as well. So as entrepreneurs, as business owners, we're always, I suppose, looking for ways of uh, getting more discipline in our lives, and being more accountable, and it all ultimately kind of builds up your self-confidence, your self-esteem. If you show up and then you do what you say you're going to do, and then at the end of the day you can say, look, you can give yourself a pat on the back and say, I've done a good day's work. You might be watching this and think, look, you're getting into analysis paralysis. Um, Maybe you've been procrastinating on the work and not getting it all done. Maybe you've started a business, but it's not worked out. Maybe you've had to get a job again because you just couldn't get the discipline working. So, like discipline, planning, all that kind of thing, is something that you work on. It's something that you can get better at and better at, and it's literally just um, before you can manage other people or lead other people, you've got to be able to, and leadership and management are obviously two different things. You've got to be able to really get the self leadership right, get that improved. So the self management, and that's where Stephen Covey's work really comes in. So the seven habits of highly effective people. This is about getting your own stuff together as well as helping other people. become the best possible version of themselves. So I'll just run through a few of these cards actually. So the first one, this is actually um, split into it's like a 12-month program really, which you keep revisiting, and it's a week at a time, and you work on one thing that week. So the first week is about defining effectiveness. So what it asks you to do is list some things you would like to change to become more effective. So this is doing some reflective practice basically. It's sitting down, it's working on yourself, it's it's lifestyle design, and it's working on your business as well. But what I say is the more you work on yourself, so your health, your fitness, your personal relationships, your personal development, your professional development, it's going to rub off on your business. So just getting to the gym, it just seems to 2x my output with the work, because we're in an organic body, and it just means that you got more clarity of mind and stuff like that. So this is going to mean different things to different people defining effectiveness. Um, and I'll read that out again. So list some things you would like to change to become more effective, and also keep this list handy as you work through the challenge cards. So you've got your 52 challenge cards, and on the back of this, what matters most to me in my work and personal life. When you shift your focus, you shift your impact. Put a spotlight on what matters in your life and list the next steps towards making positive change happen in those areas. And there's a quote by Stephen Covey: if you apply even one of the 7 habits today, you can see immediate results, but it's a lifetime adventure, a lifetime promise. So maybe pause this video for a minute and just write down some things that you'd like to change to become more effective. I mean, one of the things that I've been working on is the elimination or reduction of procrastination. It's like write down a task, meant to be doing it, and then I can get distracted. So it's like cutting out distractions. um Atomic Habits is another book that's quite helpful for this as well. So this is James Clear, and he talks about environment design. So if it's not in your environment, it can't distract you. So tidy your environment. Everything in your environment can have a place. Should be everything should have a place. Should be a place for everything. So be purposeful about how the environment is being designed, and then there's fewer distractions. Even like on, I use Macs. I use MacBooks. So I proactively make sure that the desktop on my laptop is uh, nice and clean and clutter free, as well as my physical desk, which the laptop sits upon. So things like that. So number two, the week two is model good character. Just hold up that card. Model good character. So there's 4 bullet points here, 4 check boxes. Think of a person with excellent character. For me, it's like Grant Cardone, Bob Proctor. Define some of the principles they live by. So I would say very disciplined. Well, Bob Proctor's no longer with us, but the both Grant Cardone, Bob Proctor, very disciplined. Do what they say they're going to do. The ability to give yourself a command and do it. Which of those principles would you like to implement? Definitely more discipline, more good habits. Do something today to act on those principles. So it's literally you're building up your self-esteem, you're building up your self-confidence by writing down that you're going to do something and then getting it done. That's like step one to eliminate procrastination. Um, and then on the other side, ask yourself, have I focused on quick fixes at the expense of my character? And I like this, like the top of a tree, our personality is what people see first. Although appearance, techniques, skills can influence our success, the real source of lasting effectiveness lies in a strong character, the roots. And then there's a really good quote by Stephen Covey. So people who live by the character ethic have strong roots, deep roots. They withstand the stresses of life and they keep growing and progressing. And for me, that's what life's all about. Self-development, progressing, coming out of the comfort zone, and always being challenged. And when there's a problem, it's almost like in business, if you're not having problems, then you're not actually growing. So I'm seeking out problems. If there's a problem, I'm happy because I know it's a problem to be overcome. So I don't see it as a barrier, and it doesn't stop me in my tracks. I see it as a problem to overcome because once I've found a solution, I'm actually progressing. You're not progressing if you just reliving the same 6 months again and again, and making the same income or anything like that. And that's what frustrated me about having a job. It was pretty much the same income. Yeah, you might you might earn a bit more, but it's not um, it's not enough. So the week three, run through week three. That's checking your paradigms. So paradigms are basically perspectives that we have, and list 5 words that describe how you feel about an important aspect of your life. So my business, I'll be honest, I feel frustrated. Um, I feel that it's not growing quick enough. Um, I feel, um, I actually feel some fear. So I feel some false expectations appearing real, which I'm working on, which is a limiting belief. Um, and that's kind of contrary to an abundance mindset. So there's some scarcity which is creeping in, but I can check it. I can understand that it's happening, and then I can overcome it. And I feel a bit stressed as well. I'll be honest about that. And then what's another thing? Ask for five words. Um, that's what I'm feeling. So feel a bit anxious maybe. So these are telling me, and the question is, what do these words tell you about your paradigm? It shows me that I'm not necessarily in the highest vibrational um, place, so the highest energy, and there's some fear, there's some doubt, there's some kind of worry there as well. So these are my current paradigms, and what I need to do is shift the mind. So the mindset, and if you think about it as like TV channels, all the TV channels are all live at the same time, but you can focus in on one channel, so it's what you focus on, and where your focus goes, the energy flows. What Bob Proctor says. Um, so what I'm doing is setting the mind, like a channel to another channel. So an high vibrational energy, an high frequency. And then that's going to be an abundant mindset rather than a mindset of scarcity. Um, so when you're checking your paradigms, I'll just read this last bit. So identify how your paradigm needs to change to achieve your goals. To achieve my goals, which are big goals, massive goals, um, I've got to be more productive on the right things. So I've got to plan more. I've got to study more. I've got to study more people who are ahead of me, who are making more money than me. And I've got to really, tune in to positivity and be proactive rather than just reacting to things. And these start to stack these cards, because if we then go back to uh, modeling good character, if we're modeling good character, then we're actually looking at people who have already done what we're looking to do, or are ahead of us. There might be, um, that they've achieved what we want to achieve. Basically, we can model their behavior, and then that can change our identity. And really, what we're doing is designing the future version of ourselves, and starting to build habits like the future version of ourselves. So when we're identifying our paradigm and what needs to change to achieve our goals, we're actually saying, look, this is where I am now. this paradigm is the reason. This is a decision. I can make a decision to change, essentially. And then on the back of this, ask yourself, how accurate are your paradigms? So is my worldview, am I um the way I understand things, the way I see things, is it serving me? Is it true? Um and is it also for example, when I was young, one of the things that I heard around me was money doesn't grow on trees. That's a scarcity mindset, but there's plenty of money out there. There's plenty of money out there. Um, and you can start to reprogram with your affirmations. I just read this. How accurate are my paradigms? Paradigms are the way we see, understand, and interpret the world, our mental map. So, this is our belief system, basically, the way we believe things work. There's a quote from Stephen Covey again. If you want to make minor changes in your life, work on your behavior. But if you want to make significant quantum breakthroughs, work on your paradigms. So work on the beliefs, basically. So what does that mean to you? Is there anything, the five things that you want to list? Um, Anything that you want to work on? Some people don't want to work on things. They don't want to come out of the comfort zone. They're happy where they are. But if you're not happy where you are, then you're where you are because of your behaviors, and behaviors start with thoughts, and they start with paradigms, basically the way that we see things. I'll run through week 4. So this is pause between stimulus and response. This has always makes me think of Viktor Frankl. So as sentient human beings, we've got that the benefit of being able to pause before we react to things. So if somebody cuts you up in the car, you don't have to, get angry. You can pause, and you don't have to, have your kind of emotions shaped by other people, kind of thing. So think about the day ahead of you and anticipate one thing that might push your reactive buttons. So we want to be proactive rather than reactive. And basically, we've got the benefit as human beings, as sentient beings, that have been able to decide how we react to things. Uh, Decide now what you can do to be proactive rather than reactive. Because if you're reactive, you're just going to end up. Other people can control you if you're reactive, by the way. But if you're proactive, you can take control rather than getting like a victim mindset. Oh, people are pushing me about and all that kind of thing. And what one thing can actually, if you're reactive, and if you're too reactive, one thing can ruin your day, and you can blame that on that other person and or that situation. Then you're giving your power away, and you're not taking control. And you've got in psychology what they call an external locus of control rather than an internal locus of control. So you develop an external locus of control, which is basically a victim mindset. So ask yourself, how could I respond proactively the next time I face a highly charged situation? Um, so let's say you're in an argument, somebody's arguing with you, you argue back, it just escalates and escalates. You both wound up, you're both acting from emotion, not rationally, not logically. So the next time somebody tries to argue with you, you just don't have to engage in it. Um, when people are reactive, they allow outside influences to control their response. When people are proactive, they pause to allow themselves to choose their response based on principles and desired results. So keep staying logical, staying nice and stoic, um, being quite meek as well. Meek's a great word. Um, if you study what meek means, if you're not sure, and then the quote from Stephen Covey on this one is between what happens to us and our response is a space. Love this. Between what happens to us and our response is a space. And the key to our growth and happiness is how we use that space. Love that one. So just remember, pause between stimulus and response. So week 5 is to become a transition person. So become a transition person. And the advice here is think through the negative patterns that might have passed on to you, a bad habit, negative attitude, etc. How are those things affecting you? And do something today to break the pattern. Yeah. So remember, what I say is 95% of what most people do every day is automation. It's subconscious, yeah, going through the motions. Um, so building up habits, getting motivated in the first instance to get that spark, and then building good habits, good daily disciplines, which are built over time. Because when the motivation peters out, then the discipline will take over the habits, the subconscious, and that's reprogramming basically. So if you want to change, and you don't want to backslide back into old ways, these habits need to be built over time. And this is about being purposeful, basically, and writing down goals and writing down affirmations which are associated with those goals. Um, so become a transition person. Think through the negative patterns that might have been passed on to you, a bad habit, negative attitude, etc. So do you think that money doesn't grow on trees? Do you think that money is the root of all evil? Do you think that you'd to get rich you've got to rip people off, or you've got to be a bad person, or you're not going to spend any time with your family? Do you think that you can't have it all? You know, uh, and have you got a belief that I'd rather be happy than rich? Is that your mindset? Is that your paradigm? How is this affecting you? Are you self-sabotaging? You know, when you get some money or whatever. Um, Ask yourself, who has been a transition person for me? What influence did they have on my life? A transition person breaks unhealthy, abusive, or ineffective behavior and passes on habits that strengthen and build others. So, has anybody ever told you that you're not good enough, to do something that I was told that I wouldn't be an high flyer when I was a teenager? These things can create self-fulfilling prophecies. You are influenced by your genes, by your upbringing, and by your environment, but you are not determined by them. So we've got neuroplasticity, we can change, and we can do that we are influenced by all these things, but to become a better version of ourselves, it's a decision. We can break these cycles. So become a transition person. So think of a transition person in your life, somebody who's helped you to um, what did they influence you with? Did they give you a paradigm shift? So you can see how all these start to stack as well. Um, did they help you to see things differently? They help you to break unhealthy, abusive, or ineffective behavior, and pass on habits that strengthen and build others. And then you can do this for other people as well. Um, and that is the loop. That is the circle. So week 6, banish reactive banish reactive language. We've got that yet. Banish reactive language. Uh, Try going an entire day without using any reactive language like I can't, or I have to, or you make me so mad. So if you're if you're saying to yourself, I can't, then what I would say is switch that language to how can I? And then you'll start to figure out rather I can't is a very blocking stop roadblock kind of language, go up to roadblock and then just change direction kind of thing. A lot of people, when they do that, it's just like they're not going to get very far because every time they hit adversity or a challenge, they're just going to shrink down and not open the parts of the brain for the problem solving. So rather than I can't, how can I? So let's say there's been many times when I've needed money coming up to Christmas. I'm recording this on 10th of December and we haven't had enough money. And it's like, right, rather than I can't afford it, it's how can I afford it? And then you'll start to think of ways to do what you need to do. So if you're watching this near Christmas, you haven't quite got enough money, start to think in terms of abundance, of growth mindset, of and growth mindset is basically this one that you can change. Yes, you will have been brought up in a certain environment or had a certain environment around you, certain ways of thinking, be it upbringing. Also, let's say you've had a job, you've had people around you who've, not been of a growth mindset. The growth mindset means that you have got neuroplasticity, you can change. And you might have heard these sayings as well, like you can't teach a old dog new tricks, leopard never changes its spots. These are to keep people down. These sayings, in my opinion, are to keep people in the place, to keep them from um, being mobile within different spheres, and to keep them kind of suppressed. So be aware of this as well. Like you can reprogram, um, rather than saying I have to. So let's say you're doing the school run and you say, oh, I have to do the school run. I have to go to work. Um, I have to run the business today, and it's very negative language, very reactive language. Change that to I get to. I get to take the kids to school. I get to go to work. I get to run my business. I get to speak to this customer. Even when you've got like a customer who's maybe complaining, you can switch that around to a positive experience. I get to solve that problem for this customer so can become an even more loyal customer. So try going an entire day without using any reactive language like I can't, or I have to, or you make me so mad. Yeah. For a start, nobody can make you mad. Nobody can make you've got that. Remember, go back. These cards start to stack as habits start to stack. The pause between stimulus and response. So you're saying that somebody makes you mad because they've cut you up in the car, or loved one, maybe your spouse has said something that winds you up. You've got a choice to be wound up. Ask yourself, are my words making me a victim? Have you got a victim mindset? Have you got an external locus of control? Reactive language is a sure sign that you see yourself as a victim of circumstances instead of as a proactive, self-reliant person, right? So I think everything's my fault. Um, Anything, somebody, even when it's not my fault, so it's my fault, yeah, and then I can control it, yeah, then I can control it because if it's somebody else's fault, then they've got the power over me, haven't they? And then the quote from Stephen Covey for this one: a serious problem with reactive language is that it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. People feel victimized and out of control, not in charge of their life or their destiny. They blame outside forces, other people, circumstances, even the stars for their own situation, right? So remember, everything's a decision. A lot of people I meet are running the same business again and again. They're doing the same job again and again. They're in the comfort zone, and then they blame it on external circumstances. So take control. And then I'm not going to go through all 52. I'm just going to finish on week 7. Um, and I might go through the other ones sometime as well. So speak proactively. So this is like the continuation of this one. So the number 6 is banish reactive language, and then 7 is speak proactively. So when you speak proactively, it's I choose to, I get to, I can. So consciously use these sentence starters starting today. I choose to, I get to, I can. I get to take the kids to school. I get to go to work, and in the commute, I get to put on Audible so I can feed my brain with some positivity rather than having like the news on or stuff like that. So speak proactively. Ask yourself, how differently do I feel about myself when I use proactive language? Our language is a real indicator of the degree to which we see ourselves as proactive people. Using proactive language helps us feel more capable and empowers us to act. And then the quote from Stephen Covey in this one is, I am not the product of my circumstances. I am a product of my decisions. And on that note, I will leave it there. Completely unedited video. I'll publish it straight away. Hopefully, this will help some people out there. If you're watching this and you're struggling with anything, my best advice would be to start reading self-improvement style books like Stephen Covey's Seven Habits of Highly Effective People. I would read the book and I would also invest in the card decks and I would work through the way that I would read books as well is don't just read it all the way through them, put it on the shelf and then forget about it. Read it and read it again and study it and take notes in your journal and have a journal and have a nice pen. Buy a nice pen because it just be kind to yourself. But buy a nice pen um, because when you write with a nice pen, it just feels great. And on a nice notebook as well, a nice legal pad or nice journal or something like that. Um, so I will wrap this up now. Subscribe, like, comment, and share this video with anybody who you think needs to hear these messages. And I'll see you next time.